Hello, everyone. Today, I want to tell you a story about a woman named Maya. Maya is 30 years old. She has long, dark hair and hazel eyes that always look a little bit tired. Maya is a professional baker. She spends her long days making bread and sweet treats. But Maya is carrying a very heavy secret in her heart. She did something that she regrets very much. She thought it was the only way to save her mother's legacy. Have you ever felt truly desperate? Have you ever worked a job you hated just because you needed the money? If your answer is yes, then you will understand Maya's story. Let's begin the story of the silent bakery. The bakery is Maya's whole life. It is a small, warm place with bright blue walls. Every morning, the shop smells like sweet cinnamon and fresh yeast. These smells usually make Maya feel very calm and happy. This bakery did not always belong to Maya. Many years ago, it belonged to her dear mother. Before her mother passed away, she gave Maya a very special gift. It was an old recipe book with a soft, brown leather cover. Every single morning, Maya touches the cover of that book for good luck, but lately she does not feel lucky at all. The bakery has become very quiet, too quiet. There are no customers laughing or talking anymore. Maya stands behind the glass counter in her clean, white apron. She looks at her reflection in the glass of the display case. People often tell Maya that she is beautiful, just like her mother was. But when Maya looks in the mirror, she does not see beauty. She only sees dark shadows under her tired hazel eyes. She feels completely exhausted from working so hard every day. Everything in her life is becoming very difficult. The price of flour and sugar is rising every single week. Maya's old oven is also starting to fail. It makes a very loud, scary clicking noise every time she turns it on. The oven is breaking, and Maya does not have the money to fix it. Every evening, she opens the cash register to count her earnings. The shop is silent. Maya counts the small coins very slowly. She counts them again and again, hoping the total number will change. But the number never changes. It is never enough. The flour on her apron feels heavy, like a weight she cannot carry anymore. Maya sits on a small wooden stool and stares at the empty street outside. She feels so small and alone in this big, busy city. She whispers to herself, "How will I pay the bills this month?" She is so scared that she has even stopped opening her mail. She stops looking at the scary red numbers on her bank statements, but there is one person she cannot ignore. His name is Mr. Blackwood. Mr. Blackwood is a very tall man with a very cold face. He always wears expensive, fancy suits that look like they cost a fortune. Mr. Blackwood owns the building where Maya's bakery is located. He does not care about Maya's mother or her old family recipes. He wants to destroy the bakery and build a giant glass tower. He wants Maya's history and her mother's shop to disappear forever. Every time the phone rings and his name shows up, Maya's heart jumps. She feels very scared, very lonely, and very trapped. Maya promised her mother that she would always keep the bakery open, but now she feels like she is drowning in a deep sea of debt. The rent is due very soon, and Maya has nothing left to give. She has no money in the bank, and she has no plan to save her shop. One morning, the small bell above the bakery door rang loudly. Maya hoped it was a hungry customer, but it was not. It was Mr. Blackwood. He walked into the shop wearing a sharp, dark gray suit. He did not say hello, and he did not say good morning. He looked at the old wooden tables and the cracks in the walls with disgust. He placed a thick, white envelope on the glass counter. "You are 3 months late with the rent, Maya," he said firmly. His voice was cold, like ice. Maya's hands started to shake. She quickly hid them behind her white apron so he would not see her fear. "I am working very hard, Mr. Blackwood," Maya said softly. "Please, just give me a little more time to find the money." Mr. Blackwood did not smile. He looked at the recipe book on the shelf. "I do not care about your mother's history," he said coldly. "I only care about my building. You have exactly 1 week." He turned around and walked out of the bakery without another word. Maya felt so small. She felt ashamed and defeated. She sat down on the cold floor and put her head in her hands. She thought about her mother's smile and the way the bakery used to be full of life. She felt like she was failing the most important person in her life. Maya sat on the cold floor of her kitchen for a long time. She felt like she was completely alone in the world. She looked at the red numbers on her bills and felt a heavy weight in her chest. Suddenly, her phone began to ring loudly. It was a woman from a very large office building nearby. The woman sounded very busy and very stressed. "We need 500 gourmet cupcakes for a grand opening tomorrow morning," the woman said. Maya's heart started to beat very fast. She quickly calculated the price in her head. It was the exact amount of money she needed to pay Mr. Blackwood. It felt like a miracle from heaven. Maya felt a tiny spark of hope in her heart for the first time in months. "Maybe everything will be okay," she whispered to herself. She stood up and tied her apron tightly. She was ready to fight for her mother's bakery. Maya worked all night long without stopping to rest. She mixed the flour, the fresh butter, and the sweet sugar. She followed her mother's secret recipes very carefully. The kitchen began to smell like sweet vanilla and warm honey. Maya was very exhausted, but she was also very happy. She felt like a real baker again, just like her mother used to be. By 5 o'clock in the morning, the cupcakes were finished. They looked beautiful and perfect. The sun began to rise over the city, and Maya felt proud of her hard work. But then her phone buzzed with a new message. It was from the woman at the office. Maya's heart sank as she read the words. "I am so sorry, Maya. The event is canceled. We do not need the cupcakes anymore," the message said. Maya felt her legs go weak. She dropped her phone on the floor. She looked at the hundreds of beautiful cupcakes. They were perfect, but now they were completely useless. Maya slid down the wall and sat on the floor again. Her chest felt very tight, and she wanted to scream. but she was so tired that no sound came out. Suddenly, the front door of the bakery opened. Mr. Blackwood had returned much earlier than he said he would. He saw the cupcakes, and then he saw Maya sitting on the floor. He walked into the kitchen without asking for permission. He stood very close to Maya. She could smell his expensive, strong perfume. It made her feel trapped and small. Maya took a deep, slow breath. She did not want this cold man to see her cry. She stood up slowly and walked to the sink. She turned on the freezing cold water to wash the flour off her hands. The cold water helped her stay calm and focused. For a moment, the kitchen was completely silent. Maya turned around to face him. Mr. Blackwood was watching her every move with dark eyes. He was not looking at the cupcakes on the table. "You cannot pay the rent, Maya," he said in a very quiet voice. "I know," she whispered back. She knew he was right, and it broke her heart. He stepped even closer to her. "There is another way to fix this problem," he said softly. "There is a way for you to keep your mother's bakery." Maya was confused. "Do you mean a private chef?" she asked. Mr. Blackwood nodded his head slowly. "You will live at my large estate for 30 days, he explained. "You will cook only for me and for my important guests. In return, I will forget all of your debt. No more lawyers and no more worry," he said. But Maya saw the look in his eyes. She knew he did not just want her recipes. He wanted to control her life and own her time. A cold shiver ran down Maya's spine. "And if I say no?" Maya asked. Her voice was just a tiny whisper. Mr. Blackwood looked at the door. "Then I will change the locks tomorrow morning," he said. "This bakery will be mine, and your mother's legacy will be gone forever." Maya felt sick to her stomach. Her hands began to shake violently again. She looked at the leather recipe book on the shelf. It was the only thing she had left from her mother. Maya thought about the promises she had made. She felt like the world was stopping. Maya stood in the kitchen for a very long time. She watched the small pieces of dust dancing in the morning sunlight. The silence in the room felt very heavy and very painful. Maya looked at Mr. Blackwood's expensive, shiny shoes. Then she looked down at her own shoes on the flour-covered floor. She knew that this man was waiting for her to make a choice. He knew that Maya was desperate and completely alone. Maya had to choose between her dignity and her mother's beloved bakery. It was the hardest and most painful decision of her entire life. Finally, Maya agreed to go with him. She arrived at Mr. Blackwood's giant mansion on a very cold evening. The house was huge, but it did not feel like a real home at all. It smelled like very strong perfume and cold, hard stone. It did not smell like the warm cinnamon and yeast of her bakery. Maya felt out of place as soon as she walked through the front door. She thought she was there to work in a professional kitchen. But when she entered the house, she saw no flour and no ovens. Instead, Mr. Blackwood gave her a very expensive silk dress to wear. He told her to stand by his side during a very fancy dinner party. There were many guests there wearing very expensive clothes. They looked at Maya, but they did not really see her as a person. The guests only talked about money, power, and their big business deals. Maya realized that she was just a decoration for Mr. Blackwood. He wanted to show everyone that he owned the beautiful baker. Maya whispered to herself, "This is wrong. This is not who I am." During the dinner, Mr. Blackwood began to laugh very loudly. He put his hand on Maya's shoulder and held her with a very tight grip. Maya is finally learning how the real world works, he told his friends. He said that she used to spend all day in a dusty, poor little bakery. I told her to forget that place, he laughed. It was just a pile of old bricks. Mr. Blackwood looked at Maya and smiled in a very mean way. "Stay here, Maya. You are much better as my assistant than as a baker." The guests all laughed together, and Maya felt a sharp pain in her heart. She thought about her mother's tired but happy hands. She thought about the white flour that used to cover her favorite apron. Her bakery was not just a pile of bricks, it was a place of beautiful dreams. Suddenly, Maya felt a giant wave of courage rise up inside of her. Her heart was beating very fast, but her mind was finally clear. She reached for the small white apron she was wearing over her silk dress. She untied the silk ribbon very slowly and very carefully. She felt her hands stay perfectly still. She was not shaking anymore. She threw the apron onto the very expensive rug on the floor. The apron fell like a white flag of war. Maya looked straight into Mr. Blackwood's cold eyes and did not look away. "You can buy a building, Mr. Blackwood," she said in a strong voice. "But you can never, ever buy my soul," she told him. "My bakery was small, but it was an honest and happy place. You have everything in the world, but you actually have nothing." Mr. Blackwood's face turned very red because he was so shocked. Maya took a very deep breath and stood up very tall. For the first time in a long time, she did not feel small or scared. She felt like herself again. Suddenly, Mr. Blackwood began to scream at her. His face looked very angry and very ugly. "I will destroy you," Mr. Blackwood yelled at the top of his lungs. His face was bright red and he looked very ugly and mean. "I will make sure you never open a bakery in this city again," he shouted. "You will be a beggar on the street with nothing to eat." Maya felt a cold shiver run down her back, but she did not shake. She stood very straight and kept her head held high. She did not look at the floor like she used to do. Maya looked directly into his angry, dark eyes. "You can take the building, Mr. Blackwood," she said firmly. Her voice was calm and it was very strong. "You can take the walls, the glass, and the old oven," she continued. "But you will never own my mother's secret recipes, and you can never, ever buy my heart." Maya turned around and walked away from him. She did not look back at his expensive furniture or his angry face. She walked out of the giant mansion and into the dark night. It was raining very hard outside. The cold rain hit Maya's face and soaked her expensive silk dress, but she felt like the rain was washing away his control over her. Suddenly, Maya's chest felt very light and happy. She was alone in the dark, but she was not afraid anymore. She whispered to herself, "I am finally free." Maya walked back to her small, quiet bakery. The street was very dark and the world was silent. She looked up at the old, beautiful sign above the door. Maya knew that she had to leave the building tomorrow morning. She felt a heavy sadness in her heart, but she also felt relief. She walked inside and took the leather recipe book from the shelf. Maya held the book very close to her chest. It smelled like cinnamon and her mother's sweet perfume. This book was the only thing she really needed in life. She put the book in her bag and locked the door for the very last time. When she turned around, she saw her neighbor, Mr. Henderson. He was a quiet man who also had problems with Mr. Blackwood. "I saw you at his house tonight," he whispered softly. "I was very worried about you, Maya." Then he looked into her eyes and saw that she was not broken. He saw that Maya's head was high and her spirit was strong. Mr. Henderson smiled, and it was a very kind smile. "You won the battle, Maya," he said. "He has the keys to the door, but you have the keys to your life." Maya felt her eyes fill with happy tears. She looked up at the moon and took a very deep breath. Maya's bank account was empty, and she had no home. But for the first time in many years, she did not feel small. She felt proud of herself and ready to start again. 6 months passed by very quickly. Maya moved to a new city right by the beautiful ocean. She does not have a bakery with yellow walls anymore. Instead, she has a small, bright blue food truck. Every morning, Maya wakes up and she feels very calm. She has no debts and she never sees Mr. Blackwood. She heard some news about Mr. Blackwood last week. He is in big trouble because the police are investigating him. His giant glass towers are not being built anymore. Maya felt a small, quiet smile grow on her face. Justice had finally arrived for the mean man. A little boy came to her food truck window today. He took a big bite of a warm cinnamon bun. His eyes went very wide with surprise. "This is the best bread in the whole world," he said. Maya laughed and felt a warm glow in her chest. She touched her mother's recipe book and whispered, "We did it, Mom." The book used to smell like fear and old dust. Now the book smells like the salty sea and fresh air. It smells like true freedom. Maya realized that her mother did not just give her a building. She gave her a special gift that no one can ever steal. Maya stood tall and breathed in the fresh, salty wind. She is happy, and she is finally home. This story teaches us a very important lesson about life. Never let your fear of being poor make you forget your value. A house is just made of walls and wood. Walls can be taken away, but your dignity belongs to your soul. It stays with you forever and ever. Your greatest asset is your skill and your character. Maya lost her shop, but she kept her wonderful talent. No one can take your ability to work, learn, and create. Do not be afraid to start again from zero. Even if you start in a small truck, you are the driver. You are in control of your own destiny. Protect your peace of mind because it is worth more than money. Thank you for listening to Maya's story today. We want to hear from you in the comments. What would you choose, your house or your pride? Comment 1 for house or 2 for pride. Please like and subscribe for more stories about strength and courage. We will see you in the next story.